So to piggyback where we left off, which was on specific structures that are involved in photosynthesis, let's look at the process, okay? Which is right here. So there's two main parts to photosynthesis. One is referenced as light dependent and the other one is light independent. So obviously if you're dependent on something means you're gonna need it. So looking at this diagram, who could tell me what is taken in during the light dependent reaction? Light, good. What else?
Wow.
Whoops. Look at the diagram. Water. So we've got water and sunlight during the light dependent reaction. What's emitted? Look at the diagram, okay? Look at the diagram on the top. Light dependent, yes. Oxygen, good. And also, you've got some ATP and NADH or NADPH, remember those? But overall, reactants of photosynthesis, we're gonna highlight here water. Whoops, that's not a highlight. I'll underline because I can't highlight. We got water, and then our products are O2. So reactants in red, products in purple. Then during the light independent reaction, which is also referenced as the Calvin cycle, what is taken in? Who could tell me? Ubaldo.
CO2.
CO2. It also uses the NADH and ATPs, and those are like byproducts, and you don't really have to know those. You have to know the reactants of photosynthesis, so this should be red. And what is made? Raise your hand if you can tell me. Yes?
Carbs.
Carbs. What else?
Sugar.
Sugar is a carb. What else? That's it. Glucose. We'll make those purple. So carb, sugar, glucose. Now you also have to know that the light-dependent reaction occurs in the thylakoid membrane, which is right here, and the independent occurs in the stroma. So a flowering plant has specific parts, and you have to know the parts. We're probably going to do a lab, hopefully if we have enough time, on the dissection of a plant. So does anybody know any of these parts? Go ahead. Stigma, where is that? In the center, good. It's actually the top center, and if you notice that little blue dot, I have several blue dots. Does anybody know what that is? What do the blue dots represent? Versus the yellow dots? Good, it's actually backwards. The blue dots are the pistil, which is the female parts, and the stamen, if you underline men, that will help you remember that's the male parts. Okay? Yeah. So the pistil, wherever I click on a blue dot, is going to be female reproductive parts of the plant, and the yellow dots are the male reproductive parts of the plant. All right, so who can name me another part?
A petal.
A petal. Where's the petal? Petal.
The leaf. Right there
The
under it.
leaf
Under the support.
under it,
For the,
which is really, that's actually a sepal. If you ever notice when a flower has not bloomed, it's covered in these green things that look like leaves are actually called sepals, okay? Because the leaves would be, if you follow this stem, the leaves would be somewhere down there. What else? Huh? Zoom in. What else? What do you think is at the bottom there?
stem.
Nope. Well, yeah, that bottom. Stem. Above the stem. What does a female need in order to reproduce? Good, ovaries.
No way.
Yeah. What does a male need to reproduce? And what's a flower's sperm?
Pollen.
Good, pollen. Where do they produce it?
On the top.
What structure?
The flower.
It's the anther. Okay? The anther produces the pollen. The pollen flies over to the stigma, which is sticky, so it attracts the pollen. And then the pollen will travel down the style and into the ovary and fertilize the egg. okay? The other parts of the male are called filament. So basically you have the top part of a male reproductive is the anther, and the stick type structure is the filament. For the female, it's the stigma, then the style, and then the ovaries. Yep. So the stamen, as we mentioned, male reproductive part. So pollen is found in or produced in the anther. It's, let's say, the pollen holder, and the filament is the stalk or the stem of the male reproductive part. Then you've got the pistil, which is also called the carpel, and you have to know both of those words. And that's the female reproductive part. The stigma is sticky, and that is how the pollen can like kind of float over there. And then it travels down a tube, which is called the style, and it hits the ovary, and that's how the ovary gets fertilized. Petals' function is to attract insects, and insects are required to help fertilize, and the sepal protects the flower before it opens, okay?